Welcome to Speak. It is a huge, and I mean huge, NFL Monday. I'm Emmanuel Acho. Y'all know the vibes. Volume up. Put your remotes down. Stay for a while. We got Dave Helman, NFL insider, Joy Taylor, and the Eagles' all-time rushing leader, 2-5, 2 Live. That's Shady McCoy. Now, what if I told you the San Francisco 49ers lost their starting quarterback yesterday and they got better? Now, first thing is first. Trey Lance, get better, my friend. I got hurt 7 times in 8 years, 4 years college, 4 years pro. It sucks to get hurt. I'm wishing you well with your season-ending surgery. But I know the Niners got better because Jimmy G is better. I know this with my own eyes. Players in the locker room have told me the same thing, and the management, Kyle, Shanahan, John Lynch, they know so as well. How do we know that they know? Well, look at how they were using Trey Lance in yesterday's game. Dude only passed the ball 20% of the time. But when Jimmy G went to the game, they passed the ball 40% of the time. The playbook was constricted with Trey Lance, and it was wide open with Jimmy G. But I get it. Jimmy G, we know his ceiling. He was hitting his head on the ceiling. Yeah, his ceiling was a Super Bowl. One throw, America, is what we hold against Jimmy G. This one throw, 3rd and 10, 24-20. This one throw is why we've all been out on Jimmy G. You have to make it make sense. Injuries are terrible. Trey Lance, I pray you get better. But the 49ers now have cover because Trey Lance's injury allows Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch to do what they should have done from the start, and that is start Jimmy G. So if I am the 49ers, I am cautiously optimistic, but a little bit grateful. Joy Taylor, how do you think the 49ers should feel about Trey Lance's injury?
I think they should feel bad about it. This is a bad situation. This is not a win for the 49ers. You mentioned holding that last pass, that big pass in the Super Bowl against Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't hold that against Jimmy Garoppolo. The Niners hold that against Jimmy Garoppolo. That's why they drafted Trey Lance. That's why they used 3 first-round picks on him, which is why this is a bad situation. From Trey Lance's perspective, obviously, we all hope he gets better soon and 100%, but it's going to be almost 3 years that he's going to have not played football. He played 1 game in his senior year because of COVID. He didn't play last year because he needed to develop, so he played in 2 games last year. Consider that a wash. And now he's played in 1 game in this season, which was supposed to be the season where we see what he can develop into. The other loss is now they're losing years on his rookie contract. So if he comes back 100% healthy and then develops into something, well, you've lost 2 years of his rookie deal now, which is obviously when you want to take advantage of young quarterbacks being great. And if he isn't great, well, then you blew 3 first-round picks on a young quarterback who you never got to see develop fully because of this injury and because you didn't play him in his real rookie season. So long-term, this is not a win for the Niners.
Shady, how do you think the Niners should feel?
This is it's a tricky one, man. First of all, your future franchise quarterback, he gets hurt. Like she talked about, he gave up 3 first-round draft picks to get him. I'm sure then the meeting rooms, the head coach, GM, the owner, like, bleep, 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 what are we going to do? Because the problem is this. Everybody wants to seem smart. Now, granted, he got hurt, so I know that's a sad thing. Like, I'm a player. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. But that he did get hurt, right? Now, Jimmy G's still there. So they look smart. Like, we did the right thing. So they'll look like, hey, if they go far with Jimmy G, that's going to be tricky because now what do? Trey Lance, he recovers, he gets back, rehabs, he's 100%. Jimmy G takes us far in the playoffs, maybe the Super Bowl, who knows? Then what do? It's tricky to be over there in that organization right now.
I don't think it's tricky, man. I think that it was simplified for the Niners. Dave, I'm going to say something to you that will at least make you think. I'm interested to hear your feedback.
Nice way to put it.
2 wrongs don't make a right. In my mind, the 49ers were wrong to draft Jimmy G by using up 3 first-round picks. Truly, it was 2. To draft Trey Lance by using up 3 first-round picks. Truly, it was 2 first-round picks, and we all know about the swap. I think that was wrong. But just because you draft a player who might not be as good as you want him to be, doesn't mean you should force him out there when you have a Super Bowl-ready roster. If most people agree that Jimmy G is more capable of winning right now, why would the 49ers then feel bad if they now can play the player who's currently the better player?
And it's a unique situation because of everything Shady just said. The reason why that's bad is because it's about so much more than the next game or even this season when you do something like this. And they should feel bad because they're on the brink of a total organizational disaster. And that is a weird thing to say about a team that has very real playoff aspirations. Like, the Niners handled Seattle yesterday. They have a chance to win that division. They're going to be a pretty good team, I think. This is borderline disaster because, again, when you make this type of move, I'm sorry, Acho. I know y'all played, and the best man should get the job. Politics are a big part of the NFL, and you know that. And when you make a trade like that and invest in a guy and very clearly send a signal, we do not think this guy is good enough to get the job done, you've flipped a page whether you want to or not. Now, I personally, I think the Niners deserve a fair amount of credit for managing this so that they have a backup plan because their season is not sunk now that they don't have Joy. I know, but they have a capable starting quarterback. That there's something to be said for that. But again, you're going to get to year 3 of Trey Lance's deal and have no idea whether he's worth re-signing after everything you just did. And by the way, you can gloss over the trade all you want. I just wanted to double check. I just wanted to make sure. If you were so content with Jimmy G, you could have used your number 12 overall pick. You know who got drafted number 12 overall in 2021? It's pretty good. Micah Parsons. You could have Micah Parsons on this team. Or they did a trade with Philly in that draft to get up to, they dropped back. Jalen Waddle wound up going with the number 6 overall pick. Like, if you were so sold on Jimmy G, you could have made this team a hell of a lot better. Now, not only is it not better, because Micah Parsons and Jalen Waddle aren't on your team, I should say, not only that, you also have no idea how good Trey Lance is. There's nothing to feel good about here other than that you kind of backed into still having a decent backup quarterback.
I think we have no idea how good Trey Lance is. I think the Niners know. I think they have a fairly good idea of how good Trey Lance is. I'm glad you brought up Micah Parsons. See, this is what not enough people pay attention to. The greatest thing that has happened thus far to Micah Parsons' career, DeMarcus Lawrence getting hurt. I don't know if many people know this. Dave Helman should know this. If he was paying close attention.
I get where you're going.
Micah Parsons started last season as a stack linebacker. What that means is I'm not a predominant rusher. I'm about 4 or 5 yards off the ball playing coverage predominantly. DeMarcus Lawrence, the Cowboys' leading pass rusher, gets hurt. The next game, Micah Parsons plays 100% of these snaps at a pass rushing position, as opposed to only playing 20% of the snaps the week before at the pass rushing position. We don't always utilize our first rounders to the ability in which they need to be utilized. I am on the train, Joy, that the Niners are actually better off now, today, tomorrow, and going forward.
Today and tomorrow they are. Going forward, they're not. And I can't let you do it, Dave. I can't let you give them credit for Jimmy G still being on the roster. I can't do it.
Fair.
I'm not going to let it happen. We're not going to forget that they tried to trade Jimmy Garoppolo and they were mad at him for getting surgery. They did everything they could do to get Jimmy Garoppolo off this roster. You don't get to
still counts.
No, you don't get credit for being lucky, walk around the corner and finding a bag of money. That's not how it works. Can't give him credit for it.
Still rich, though.
That's true.
It worked out, but you didn't plan for this at all. This was not their plan to have Jimmy Garoppolo on the roster. Are they better today than they were yesterday with Jimmy Garoppolo as the starter? Yes, because Jimmy Garoppolo is a better player right now, today, than Trey Lance. No, that isn't all that matters. That isn't all that matters. That isn't all that matters.
That's not all that matters.
First of all, not only is that short-sighted, the Niners have told you Jimmy Garoppolo is not good enough. Everything that I just mentioned about them trying to trade him, they tried to move him. Then they were mad at him for getting surgery and not telling them. They used 3 first-round picks to take Trey Lance. They mortgaged their future on this young quarterback. It's not me saying Jimmy Garoppolo is not good enough. I would have built around Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is good enough to win games. I don't think he's good enough to win a Super Bowl, and neither do the Niners. But that's why they decided to move off of him.
But the question is this. How many guys are good enough to win a Super Bowl? Jimmy Garoppolo has 2 playoff wins in 2 of the last 4 seasons. How many quarterbacks have done that over the last 10 years? About 7. Yeah. Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, I believe Aaron Rodgers, Colin Kaepernick, Jimmy Garoppolo. There aren't very many. So, Shady, when we say that Jimmy Garoppolo is not good enough to win a Super Bowl, I would retort with, well, there aren't that many guys that are good enough to win Super Bowls because only about 37 quarterbacks have ever done it in the history of playing the sport. Where do you think the Niners stand now? Are they better today? Are they better tomorrow? Are they better going forward?
Well,
what do you think?
Obviously, they're better today. I mean, their future quarterback, Trey Lance got hurt, so we get that. But moving forward, it's like for them guys to have so much success with that team, with Jimmy G under quarterback, and then for them to try to move on from him, that tells you something. Like, either he can't get us there all the time or we can't win with him. Something.
People are wrong, though.
I don't.
The Eagles moved on from you, and what that tell us? That just told us that the Eagles are bad decision makers.
Yeah, but
the Packers tried to move on from Aaron Rodgers. What that tell us? That just told us the Packers are bad decision makers. Just because they tried to move on does not mean that all of a sudden Trey Lance is a god.
No, that is true because I feel like a lot of people up in office, they get a lot of things wrong. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is they see him every day, right? You see him in the games. See, we see him in the games, but they see him every day.
Every day.
Camp, practice. So they know his flaws. They know what he does well.
Strip clubs.
And whatever they told us is this: he's not good enough for us. So we're trying to get better. So if you're trying to get better, how good can Jimmy G be?
He also missed 25 games.
I like you said that. It's a good point.
Injury.
It's a good point.
You have to tell the full picture of what Jimmy G is. With this team, with this coach, he is a winner. Yes, we know that. What is your goal, though? If your ultimate goal is to win a Super Bowl, Jimmy G's not the guy. And we know that because of everything that Shady just said and because of their actions. People talk a lot. La, 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 la. They say a lot of things. What do you do? Mm-hmm. What you have done is showed me you don't think Jimmy G is capable of getting you to the next level. If your goal is just to win games, then you're fine. And there are organizations that are completely happy with that lifestyle. They just want to win some games, maybe make some noise in the playoffs, but not the Niners.
But here, I have two things. My first train of thought is this, because I've spent way too much time thinking about this conversation. Jimmy G's injury prone. We can all agree on that, right?
Yes.
He's missed roughly 33% of his games due to injury, something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong there in the back. Trey Lance would have missed 50% of his games due to injury by the time he comes back. We're not going to sit here and call Trey Lance injury prone, or are we? Because we have to. Remember, Dak Prescott used to be consistently healthy, and Carson Wentz was Mr. Injured.
Right.
You remember that narrative? I'm an Eagles guy, you're a Cowboys guy, all the things. But now you look up, by week 8 of this season, Dak Prescott would have missed 17% of his starts. Carson Wentz would have missed 13% of his starts. So we label these guys injury prone, healthy. Everybody's injury prone in the NFL. And if you're not, you're an outlier that proves the rule. I'm just sitting here, Joy, trying to figure out, because I'm so big on play the best player. I agree they used 3 first-round picks on Trey Lance, but I just don't think 3 wrongs make a right. The truth needs no alibi. If you play the best player, you will need no alibi.
Do you think that Dak is an elite quarterback?
No.
Do you think that Carson Wentz is an elite quarterback?
No, was.
I love how he qualified that right there at the end.
Well, he's not now. And you are comparing Dak Prescott and Carson Wentz, who you don't think are good, are elite, to Jimmy Garoppolo, who you're arguing should be on this Niners team and makes them contenders.
Mm-hmm. Where are you going?
You're arguing the equivalence of 2 players that you don't think are good enough to win a Super Bowl. What is Jimmy Garoppolo capable of doing? What is his ceiling? That's why Trey Lance was there in the first place.
But are you saying his ceiling isn't good enough to win a Super Bowl because he missed a pass? Like, he's 3 yards away from being good enough to win a Super Bowl.
I'm not saying it, Emmanuel. I'm not saying it. The Niners are saying it.
They did it.
Yeah, what do you do?
They made that trade knowing full well how close that guy, Jimmy G, came to winning a Super Bowl.
See, I wouldn't have did it, right?
You wouldn't have made the trade for Trey Lance.
Not 3 first rounds, no, because my thing is you're betting on the potential of this kid. Mm-hmm. You don't know where Jimmy G, I don't think he's super good, but he's good enough to get you to the Super Bowl, get you to the playoff. So now, right, you can build on that team to potentially be better. Because getting to the Super Bowl is hard to do. Let's cut that out. That's hard to do. So for him to get you there, and they were close, even though he's not the best quarterback, like.
Okay, but Shady, tell the truth though about how you prepare for Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, hold on. No, I say it. Look, Jimmy, we want you to throw the ball, brother.
No question.
Get the third and long because he couldn't throw the ball that well. But what I'm saying is, for you to consistently go to the playoffs, win games, and then get to the Super Bowl, you can build off of that instead of giving 3 first-rounders up. And to see what guy you don't know about,
let me ask you this, because the fact is, you wouldn't have given up the 3 first-rounders. You wouldn't have given up the 3 first-rounders. Would you have? Okay.
No, but I'm not. But if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it.
So now that's the question, because that's why I want to come to you.
I would have did that.
None of us would have given up the 3 first-round picks, but it's done. We can't cry over it. It's done.
Right.
Would you be playing Trey Lance knowing that Jimmy Garoppolo is currently better, or would you have been playing the better player?
See, you keep saying, like, currently better. They don't care about that. They care about going forward. So if it's year 2, get better, then year 3, be a stud, be our franchise quarterback. It's not about just right now. When you give up 3 first-rounders, you're not worried about the first year. You're worried about the years to come.
Yeah.
Right? It's an investment. I mean, we love to get our investment and return our investment the next day, the next year. It don't work like that. It might take 2 years or 3 years. Look, go in your pocket, think about your money, baby. Gotta talk that money talk to him. He understands that.
It's the front office's job to think about more than the next Sunday.
Yes.
That's their job.
Correct, but if you keep worrying about the next Sunday and the next Sunday and the next Sunday and the next Sunday and the next Sunday, there's only one big problem. You're going to lose on this Sunday, and the Niners need to focus on the present.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.